Just by chance, if you don't know him, this guy here is the all-time winningest coach in WB football history, Don Nealon. Prior to the arrival of Coach Nealon, would you please welcome Coach Frank Signetti. These other two guys have a bit of a southern drawl. Would you please welcome former head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineers, Jim Carlin. And would you please welcome former West Virginia head coach, Bobby Bowden. As we say this with all sincerity, I'm speaking for this collective group. It's an honor and it's a pleasure for you guys to come, number one, to come back, and number two, to spend some time with us here this afternoon. The format's real simple. This is going to be a West Virginia version of Oprah. What we'll do is we'll have some, unfortunately we're not giving away any really good gifts or anything like that, but what we're going to do is we're going to ask a general question or two to the coaches, and then we're going to open up the opportunity for you folks to come forward. As you can see, we've got a microphone right there, and this is just a casual opportunity to hear from these guys. You know, as we grow up and as we grow on, for some of you guys that are younger and became Mountaineer fans because your family members were Mountaineer fans, perhaps you've heard stories about certain Mountaineer games that certain guys were involved in. Well, today's your day. Hey, let me ask you, did it really happen this way? Did this happen this or that way? We can do that as well. But first off, and we'll go from my left, from your right. What I'd like to ask you guys, and each have your own microphone. Should have your own microphone. Coach Bob, you got one there, Weston, there. Coach Carlin, you're right here. Yes, sir. First off, Coach Bowden, and you've talked about this a lot through the years, but if you would, just give me an overall general comment on your time at West Virginia University. Perhaps if you want to get into some players, but what are you mentioned during the luncheon today with Garrett Ford that this was your foundation as a big-time head coach. Talk about your reflections of Morgantown and West Virginia University.
Well, number one, I had never been out of the South. You know, I was raised in Birmingham, Alabama. I coached at South Georgia College. Then I coached as assistant coach at Florida State. Then I coached in Birmingham at Samford University, which was Howard College back in those days. So Jim offered me a job to come up here as the offensive coordinator. And I considered going to Auburn because that was kind of where we were raised, you know. But we really felt like our best opportunities would be right here, you know. And it gave me a chance to learn Ohio and learn Pennsylvania as well as West Virginia and Virginia and the other states up this area, you know. So Ann and I came up here, we brought 6 children, and went home with about a bunch of them. Now we got 21 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. But anyway, I learned a lot from this guy right here. Jim will never know what I learned from him. Now my sons know because I told them, you know. And of course I was lucky to work with Frank. I always felt like he was one of the sharpest men around, and really, Don just did marvels. And so anyway, but I'm going to tell one little story that I'll make you let somebody else talk. A lot of times, you know, I've coached 57 years in college. A lot of times say, which game was the best? Which one did you enjoy the best? One of the best, I'm talking about, if you said it's the best, that'd be fine with me, was Pittsburgh in 1975. You know, that game was meant more to me. It was Tommy's birthday. You know, we won it on his birthday. He made a couple of nice catches in there. And no, excuse me, it was my birthday. And it was my birthday. And but that game was more meaningful to me, to be honest with you, than any national championship we ever won. Wow. Sure. Wow. Right. Yeah.
Bigger than a national championship.
Oh yeah.
And then of course,
they were nice. They were nice. Yeah. but y'all remember what a hard time we had with Dorsey? And we finally whipped Dorsey. Did it, Frank?
That's good stuff. Coach Carlin, you're the guy that brought Coach Bowden to West Virginia. Talk a little bit about how you got to West Virginia. What was in play right there? How did you get to WVU? And give me your reflections on your time here.
The reason I brought Bobby with me was I met his wife, and if he could recruit her, then he could recruit anybody. I tell you, I miss Morgantown. I coach other places, but this is home. People here respond. Don't ever get away from that. We coach a lot of places. I work with a lot of people. I felt so comfortable here. The nicest thing I asked for them to do for me, don't give me any more money because I wasn't making much anyway. Please straighten the roads out between here and Charleston. I said, if you think I'm a politician, no. I just want to keep lives going. This fella couldn't drive. The problem is he had to send a driver with him. And so those roads are curvy. I worried about my coaches being on those roads. Let me tell you what you got here. You got a gold medal. You got people that show and care. Most places, it's places, what can you do for me next? That's not the way it is here. People never forget what they did for you and what you did for them. I applaud you for being here. Some of you I don't know. Some of you are not that old. But I can tell you one thing. This is first place for me. My wife Meredith sitting back where she is. That's one of my top recruits. Stand up. Stand up. And I talked to her all the way coming up here. Not so many curves there used to be. But it's a wonderful place to be. Don't ever forget Morgantown. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Petty, if you would, I mean, it was generational, wasn't it? You guys all kind of worked together. Can you kind of reflect on the transition and how it all came about?
At the time, I was coaching at Princeton University in the Ivy League when Jim left to go to Texas Tech, and Bobby got the job. And I had previously coached at the University of Pittsburgh, was involved in the Pittsburgh, West Virginia rivalry, and started as a high school coach in Western Pennsylvania. And I'll never forget the day I came down for the interview to see Bobby. My wife came with me. It was in Old Mountaineer Field. Bobby, I don't know if you remember this, but all the plumbing was frozen. My wife had to go to the bathroom. Nothing was working. You know what Old Mountaineer Field looks like in the middle of the winter now. And after we had talked, and Bobby had offered me a job, and we're driving back to Princeton, Marlene says, Frank, there's no way I'm going to Morgantown. She said, there is no way I'm going to Morgantown. So I accepted the job. We came to, we moved to Morgantown, and believe me, if you ask my wife where the best place she's ever been, she will tell you Morgantown, West Virginia University. She has great friends here. Great tennis friends here. And my children, my youngest daughter was born here in West Virginia. My children, when they're talking in their group and so forth, they say, hey, we loved Morgantown. It was a great place to live. We couldn't have had a better childhood growing up. And that echoes my feelings. I just think the people of West Virginia are great people. Like the humble background that I come from, my father was a coal miner, worked in the coal mines, suffered a broken back. Oldest brother had a football scholarship at Ohio State, had to go work in the mill to support the family. So I understand the adversity people in West Virginia have been through. Great people, hard-working people. Love your coaches when they win. When they win. Love you when you lose, but they let you know.
Thanks so much, Coach. And the evolution continued. Coach Nealon, you come in, and new Mountaineer Field, now Milan Pushkar Stadium, is on the precipice of getting ready to begin a new decade, a new era. Give me your reflections coming from Michigan at that time, what you inherited, and how it all began for you.
Well, Tony, first of all, this guy right here, we inherited a lot more football players than people think we did. We didn't have maybe 500 or 400, but I'm going to tell you, we had some good football players. And in my opinion, this guy here has really never been given the dues that he deserves at West Virginia, because we had success pretty early, and one of the reasons is because we had some pretty good football players, coaches winning players. But, you know, it's obvious I'm smarter than all three of these guys because they all left. They told me how big West Virginia is, but that's not what to say. And, you know, I told Frank 100 times how in the hell he could ever win any games with the facilities that he had to work with. It's just a different ball game now. The program's on a roll. It's a great stadium. It's a great venue. Our fans are just unbelievable. Tony, one of the things that I really remember is when I came here, and you know, I really didn't know much about West Virginia, even though I was from Ohio. When I talked to our fans, they never said West Virginia University. They just said the university. And the love they had for this place was unbelievable. And, you know, I coached at Michigan, and that has a pretty good pedigree until some guy screwed it up. But I'm just saying that the loyalty here and our fan base, maybe it's not quite as large, but it's just unbelievable. Our fans were the 12th guy on that field every game. Great place, I love it.
Thank you, guys. Coach, now listen, you guys are coaches, not politicians, so I'm going to ask you a question.